everyone, and welcome back to the Travel Gene. Today, something a little bit different, out of the ordinary. I want to share my library with you. I wanted to show you what my library looks like. I'd like to see yours as well, so please feel free to post images of your videos and your library online. Okay, so where I can see them, of course. Okay, so without further ado, here is my library. Okay, so I have a strong concentration in military and national security studies. Here on the left side of this particular, in my office, we have Russian military development since the post-communist period and indeed the pre-communist period as well. A lot on the evolution of warfare and digital warfare, the development and evolution of warfare in the modern period. About Chinese intelligence and counterintelligence, gray warfare, which is something a little bit special, counterterrorism, which is also a field that I had to specialize in during my service and so forth, and military studies. A lot of these on terrorism and counterterrorism, the Taliban, ISIS, and the development, the rise and fall of Afghanistan. Here on the right, we have support books, linguistic support books in various languages, including Armenian and Arabic, Russian, Italian, Swedish, and Romanian. These are dictionaries mostly, and you can see I have some more down here in the corner. I have a couple of books that are currently reading, sort of skipping back and forth between them. This is the book that I'm currently reading right now, and that is Najib Mahfouz's Les Fils de la Médine in French, a very long book, a very interesting book, which relates to both the Bible and the Quran. It's a sort of fictional account that aligns with the stories involved in the Bible and the Quran, and you'll see the parallels if you do eventually get to read that book. These are other titles that I have underneath that are sort of in line. They're on deck, if you would. This one, Giorgio Nardone, Calvacari, La Propria Tigre, that's in Italian, of course, an Armenian dictionary, the neatest little guide to stock investment, guide to investing, Think Like Da Vinci, and the Le Nouvel Guide des Vitamines, the new guide to vitamins. Okay, so that's it as far as the office is concerned, but that's not it, of course, right? Anybody who's an avid reader like I am would have other books as well, and that's for sure. As you'll notice, I have eclipsed the entire living room with my library. This is a large overview of things the way they are for the moment. And my wife has also contributed a corner of this section, her kitchen, to my library as well. As you can see, I have specialized in crisis and disaster management, criminal psychology, abnormal psychology, and forensic psychology, questions concerning national leadership, power and choice, political philosophy, and so forth. Down here, I have some of these more modern self-help books and self-thinking books. A lot by Steven Pinker, for example, some of the more modern writers, Strategy and The Selfish Gene, for example, very good books. Orientalism and Islamic law. I also specialize in Sharia, which is Islamic law. Understanding ISIS. I have an entire section dedicated to ISIS. Psychology of terrorism, the European and American politics, and down here are books from friends, books that friends have signed off on to me, including some from psychology of totalitarianism, On Killing by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, a good friend of mine, and a very prolific author, well worth reading. Up here we have criminology, policing science and security, victimology, constitutional prisoner rights, and rehabilitation, basically correction studies, national security, homeland security, and again, small warfare and counterterrorism. Underneath this are a number of books that I have printed out myself, which were free access, my thesis, various theses and dissertations that I have written. Some of these books include chapters that I have contributed or written in. I haven't written a full book yet. This section here is really interesting. This is all about language. It's all about language. And as you can see, we're very invested into language acquisition here in our house. We have Spanish and German. We have Russian and Polish, Romanian, Czechoslovakian, Hungarian, Japanese, Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, Spanish short stories, Netherlands, Dutch, and I guess that's it. And Slovenian, Slovakian. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so very interesting books. Down here on leadership, human resource management, organizational management, and program management. Down here, we have all about leading change, nonverbal communication, and strategic management. Okay, if I come over here to the large library, a lot of this is my fiction side, okay? I have a fiction side of my existence. And this includes an entire shelf dedicated to serial murder. That's part of my studies in forensic psychology, understanding that. Historical history of the, let's say, of the English and Scottish history, the older history, some of the more language books on from Latvian, Arabic, and a really interesting book. I don't know if I have it here or not. One which is the history, l'histoire des langues. L'histoire des langues, yeah, here it is. Les langues de l'humanité. Okay, so the languages of humanity, and you can see it's quite a hefty volume, and it covers all different languages. And what's really cool about this is there's a lexicon on each language. It tells you how the language developed, where it developed from, and it gives you a lexicon that you, if you want to study, you can actually learn a little bit of vocabulary from the base. Now, this is, of course, in French. I don't know if it exists in English, but this is pretty interesting. For this one, for example, is Kikongo language, okay, langue de Bokongo. So even the most obscure sort of languages are in there. So it's really fascinating. I have a lot on history, on ancient history, a lot about law, international law, which is what my doctorate is in. I have a section down here which is dedicated to Egyptology. You can see it's quite involved, and I spent several years as an Egyptologist developing a program to do a dig in Egypt, but with the passage of the Gulf War, I was unable to complete my actual project. These are travel guides. Up here we have a lot more fiction, sort of mystery fiction. Everybody's familiar probably with Stephen King, who is a good writer, who I've enjoyed. One of the books, Great Poets, which I have some work inside there, which I've contributed. America's Great Poets. And up here is political science. Political science. These are my favorite shelves. These are the books by what we call dystopian society. So Aldous Huxley, Ray Bradbury, George Orwell. A lot of good writers up here. Good titles that you may want to note down or consider for yourself for reading. These are sort of spy novels, espionage novels. All the way down here, I have American Indians, American Indiology, American Indian Studies. I spent quite a bit of time in the Far West studying the American Indians, the Hopi, the Navajo, the Aztecs, the Olmecs, the Toltecs. This is religion and mythology. And over here, once again, this is a collection of sort of spooky novels. And now I like to read spooky spooky stuff, spy stuff when I'm not working, because it helps me to relax. The brain is sort of like a muscle. It also needs time to relax and recuperate after you've done some extensive study or reading in something very complex. Okay, some more interesting writers. These are some new writers. Carlos Ruiz Zafón, that I never was familiar with, and I wanted to read his books as well. Up here, I have some of the more classical titles, everything from Hemingway all the way to the left to Le Jardin Parfumé. I have quite a few books from classical writers: Livy, Plutarch, Caesar's Conquest of Gaul, Hoffman, Jacob William Grimm, the Grimm stories, Suetonius, Homer, Chaucer, Virgil, and some of the American political writers as well. I have Polybius and quite a few of the interesting writers. Here, this entire section that you see going down here are foreign language books. These are all foreign language books. This one is Human Health and Sexuality. This one is Indiology from India, not Indiology from America. These are medicine, health, and personal care. Okay, so that's it. As far as the library is concerned. And so please feel free to contribute your ideas, your insights, your output, and any opinions you might have. I'd like to hear what your favorite book is. What is your favorite book? Do you have a favorite book? Have you got one that, that has changed the course of your life, for example? It certainly did with me. The Sun Also Rises, or La Fiesta by Ernest Hemingway. Okay, so we're coming back here into the office cum bedroom. So, when you are an academic, your office is often combined with other features such as the kitchen, the living room, and so forth. If you found that interesting, I've always wanted to do that, just share my library with everybody and let them know what my particular interests were, and share and learn what your particular interests are. Now, I'd like to say a little bit about reading. Reading is an important skill. It's a really important skill, and it seems to be being lost because we live in a digital world. And the problem is that the neuroplasticity of the brain is actually changing. People want little sound bites of information. So we know a lot about nothing. We have a lot of little knowledge, but we don't have any comprehensive knowledge because we don't develop our long-term memory. Reading actually helps to reinforce the long-term memory. And if you have languages, it assists in your language acquisition. You're much better able to express yourself and to understand in a foreign language if you read in that language. Reading has a very important function, and that is, for example, when I read a book, let's take a book here, for example, and open it, you'll notice that there may be some writing in my books. My wife once said, well, you're destroying your books. That's it. That they were unable to write in their books. And I told her, no, I'm not destroying my books. I'm actually enhancing them, for future generations. So I often write my comments in the margins, and I highlight those things that are important. And the reason I do this is because it reinforces the long-term memory. Not only are you reading the book, but when you highlight it, you're reading it a second time. And when we make comments, generally you're looking at it once again a third time. So it helps to reinforce that knowledge base that you're trying to build. Let me just put my phone up here for you. My arms are getting tired. I will definitely edit that out. Okay, I have to edit that section out. Cut, snip, snip, snip. Or maybe not. Who knows? Everybody makes mistakes, right? Right. Okay, so I also have a lot of articles that I read. Don't know if I have any here. No, most of those have all been reclassified into boxes like you see here. These are full of articles. Those are full of articles. Those are actually double books that I've ordered twice by mistake. When you get such a large library, it's sometimes hard to keep track. And now I've been digitally compiling, placing them into an Excel spreadsheet, so that I can keep track of what I've actually got on hand and what I don't have, and what I want to order, and what I need to order in order to teach, and so forth. So, oops, cut that one out too. Snip, snip. Okay, so this phone is heavy. I just changed the back of it yesterday, and it's gotten very, very heavy. So I'm talking to you like I talk to anybody else, here. This is the course, the par for the course on the travel gene. Okay, so that I guess I just about wraps it up here. I just wanted to share that with. Okay, so we're speaking about language. We're speaking about reading and why reading is important. It's because it does indeed contribute to your cognitive development and to your long-term memory. It's also important, an important tool for language. It works in conjunction with the what we call the area of Broca in the brain, the language learning center near the hypothalamus, the région de Broca, and it helps us to have deeper thoughts, and this is what's missing with the digital world, with what is occurring now. The neuroplasticity of the brain is actually changing. People's brains are actually changing physically because of the way people are now learning. People are no longer reading like they used to. Okay, I even have some colleagues who say, I don't read anymore. Why would I read? What's the point of it? But I don't think so. I think that, for example, the development of new ideas, when you do have new ideas, you take idea A that you read in one book, idea B that you read in another book, and then you develop your own insights and perspectives, and you're able to redevelop those and contribute those as not idea, idea C. Okay, so have a great day here on the Travel Gene. Signing out. Be sure to stay tuned. We have much more coming down the line.
Uno me invitaste a salir